In this next article from Daily Mail, Britain first activists filmed themselves storming hotel with migrants inside. Members of Britain's first gained entry to Daresbury Park Hotel, pictured in Warrington, Cheshire, and knocked down bedroom doors. So earlier in the show, we covered how these lunatic European liberals are paying economic migrants to move to Europe. They think that if they just give these economic migrants a welfare check and food stamps and government free housing, that all of the other mass migrants won't also to mass migrate there to get the handout. So luckily there are sane, rational people in the world who they are recognize how stupid of an idea that is. So these people are storming. They are putting up the migrants in fancy hotels. It says far-right Britain first activists, because far-right has always meant Nazi. It's always meant fascist and Nazi. It has never, ever, ever meant anti-immigrant until after the Chinese Nazi Party took over Wikipedia. If you're unaware, because you're new to the live stream, I uncovered a cyber weapon on Wikipedia with an AI algorithm, and the Chinese Nazi Party is they have gamed Wikipedia through the admins, and they have been pushing anti-racist cultural Marxism to wipe the white people off of the face of North America. That's their goal. That's what they've been doing with their cultural Marxism, subsidizing bad films that replace white males in badass movies with Wham-Man, African Americans, Wajins of Kleenex, i.e. the Latinx, and they use that to destroy our culture because they think they want the white man gone, so they want to replace us with Spanish speakers, because once you've changed the language, you've changed the culture, and this is cultural Marxism coming to a theater near you, subsidized by Xi Jinping and the Democrats, the Chinese Nazi Party. So they want me to support that? I'm just kind of confused as to why anybody would support migrants taking over your country. That's insane. Does anybody out there want migrant? Would you want to give up your house to somebody, a mass migrant from South America or from Africa or China? Anybody want to give up their business? Anybody want to just give them the money out of their pocket to the Mexicans? 56% of illegal immigrants in the U.S. are from Mexico. Is anybody volunteering? Anybody want to? Okay, so does anybody want to volunteer to only have one child and slave all day for Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos, so that you still end up living a lower middle class life, and then you only get one child. You have to work all day long. And then the illegal immigrants from Mexico get 3 or 4 child. And then they get government handouts. Does anybody support that? Does anybody support the illegal immigrants' families growing very large and then your family just disappearing? Anybody just want to kill themselves to make room for illegal immigrants from Mexico or from, in Europe, illegal mass migrants from Islamic countries who bring Sharia law to your country? Does anybody want to exchange your freedom culture with Sharia law? Does anybody want to stop speaking your native language so that you could speak a language of people who wish to rise up to the top and control you? No, because only an idiot, only somebody who's part of a suicide cult would actually do that. Liberals are in a suicide cult, a genetic suicide cult. They don't want to accept that there are existential problems with feminism, that it can cause you to become a only child, and that this will cause your genetic line to die off. It will cause your culture to die off. That's your genes. That's your children. You no longer get to have children now, because Migrants are the only ones who are allowed to have large families, and the government's supposed to subsidize it, right? That's a suicide cult. That is batshit crazy insane. So let's watch the people doing what a smart person.
So we've managed to enter legally another one of these migrant hotels.
This is where they're not just putting them up in the worst hotels. They're putting them up in the fancy hotels.
Already,
because they don't want to appear racist, because they've banned hate speech. You can't criticize these people. You're not allowed to criticize these people. So if you do, they're going to make it so you can't run for office. This is the problem with banning hate speech, is it ends up getting targeted towards you. They come after you. It might start out where you're like, oh no, we just don't want Nazis, right? So we're just going to ban hate speech. And then what it ends up being is you end up with a feminist suicide cult that they can't admit that they're a cuck, that they're beta as fuck, and that they are not going to be able to maintain their genetic line. No, if you bring that up, you are far right, because they are far left. And anybody who is in the conservative power structure, who is trying to help our country and preserve our way of life, that is now far right, because Nazis and communists, they didn't target the far right. Nazis and communists work together. People don't know that. People think, oh, Nazis were diametrically the opposite of communists. No. They didn't like fascism because it wasn't a socialist enough for them. But then Hitler came out with National Socialism, and they're like, hey, this is a competing idea to communism. Then they jumped on board. And so the fascist and the Nazis and the Antifa, they killed the conservative power structure. They mass murdered millions of people. Slaughtered. Conservative, just like people like me. Just mass slaughter. Genocide. People think that it's the far left that fought the far right. That's a lie. These people don't know anything about history. No, Stalin fought on the same side as Hitler until Hitler started running out of gas and food, and then he invaded the Balkan oil fields for the gas and the food down there. And then Stalin joined the Axis. And then he took over half of Europe, and then he occupied one of the largest land masses ever to be occupied by a government in the history of the world. I think it was the largest. It's insane. Like they won by Adolf Hitler attacking Joseph Stalin. The socialists won World War II. I know that's a mind fuck. That's a complete mind fuck, and it totally was a mind fuck for me. But it's true. By Hitler, this was what I discovered when I discovered the cyber weapon on Wikipedia with the AI algorithm. I found out that there was a shortest possible graph to socialist overthrow of the world, and it was by Hitler committing suicide and turning against Joseph Stalin. And lo and behold, it's actually 100% true, not 99% true. It's 100% true. But people they weren't alive. They don't know. They think Nazis were not feminist. That's not true. No, fascism came out of the women's suffrage movement. Let's watch this video. Again.
So we've managed
knocking
to
on the doors.
Enter legally another one of these migrant hotels, and we've already found several migrants. And once again, we're just knocking on the doors.
They're like, no, you can't say anything. You can't do anything. No, because if you did that, then other people would know that other people don't support that. So they have to shut you down, because they can't win unless they shut down your free speech, shut down your ability to politically organize. That's how authoritarian dictators take over your country, dude. If you want to know about how it... Look at the Fascist Manifesto. Never take my word for it. Always look it up yourself. Well, take my word for it. if you're not going to look it up for yourself, because I did. Politically, the manifesto calls for universal suffrage with lowered voting age to 18 years, voting and electoral office eligibility for 25 and up, proportional representation on regional basis, voting for women, and they wanted a minimum wage and an 8-hour workday. Doesn't sound bad at all, right? And then what? Shows the same confidence in labor unions as was given in the industry. So they're like reduction of the retirement age from 65 to 55. Right, because you usually don't start out in the state of the genocidal maniac. No, you start out in the state of the good person trying to do good things for the world, and then everyone else is a tyrant but me, and then you're a genocidal maniac. There's a logical progression into this, but our simplistic whitewashed version of history only shows you starting from the end state. So as you can see, fascists were first wave feminists. Feminism. Let's look up feminism. History of feminism. And then you will see the first wave of feminism in the 19th and early 20th century focused on overturning legal inequalities, particularly addressing issues of women's suffrage. Yep, I just proved it to you. Nazis were first wave feminists. It's beyond a reasonable doubt. They obviously were first wave feminists because women worked in factories in Germany. That was definitely radical at the time. That was brand new. That was not something women never did that before. That was first wave feminism. So yes, Nazis were feminists. Democrats, they're white feminists. So are European liberals, white feminists. Racist version of feminism where they put white women issues at the top above everyone else. And I need to get through this stuff. How far are we at? Damn. Is there anything on... Just got to look through. I have to make sure I cover the... Here we go. Yep, got to cover this guy. I got to make sure anybody that was on the thumbnail, I get the story. We've got Trevor Noah, Amy Johnson. I'm going to skip the other one. I wanted to shame this pedo chick. Now let's shame this pedo chick right now because this is nasty.